Going to get started. I'm going to be seated rather than stand because the microphone is here and it's not portable, so bear with me with that. Welcome to Ohio EPA's public hearing regarding a draft permit modification for Lima Refining Company. My name is Darla Peel. I'm a public information officer with Ohio EPA. My title is Public Involvement Coordinator, in fact, so essentially my job is to serve as a liaison between technical staff and the public. And this evening I'm going to be the moderator for the hearing. With me this evening are Jan Treadway, Jeff Skiba, and Andrea Moore from the Division of Air Pollution Control in our Northwest District office in Bowling Green. And also with me is the media liaison, if there's already members of the press, Dina Pierce. She's in the back corner there. In just a few minutes, Jan's going to give a presentation about the draft permit modification. If you haven't already done so, please sign in at the back and leave your contact information so that we can send you anything related to this specific permit. We won't use it for your contact information for anything else. We don't sell those or use them for any other purpose. Ohio EPA holds meetings of this type to provide information on applications and actions and to obtain comments from you, the public, from any interested person. This evening's meeting will consist of two parts. As I mentioned, Jan is going to be giving a presentation. That will be followed by a brief Q&A session. Following that, we go into the formal part of the meeting, and that is the public hearing. During that time, we are here to listen, so we won't be able to answer questions for you. We may ask a clarifying question of you. And before we go any further, I wanted to let you know that Dina is standing at the back. Dina, can you rise so they can see you? She has got a stack of blue cards. If you want to give testimony this evening, please raise your hand and Dina will be sure to give you a card. I generally have them out on the table, but we had such a small table I didn't have space for that this evening. So if you'll raise your hand, Dina will do that. They'll be available throughout the hearing, throughout the meeting. We have a court reporter here this evening, Terry Pollard. She will take down all of the testimony, not the Q&A session, and she will make a record of the proceedings. So without going any further, I'll ask Jan to come forward and give the presentation.
Thanks, Darla. As Darla mentioned, my name is Jan Treadway, the Ohio EPA Division of Air Pollution Control, Northwest District Office. My colleagues Andrea Moore and Jeff Steele were very instrumental in the development of this air permit, and so tonight we'd like to present to you the draft air permit for the Lima Refining Company. I'd like to start the presentation with a little bit of background. Lima Refining Company operates at world scale, meaning they don't just serve a domestic market. Refinery which focuses on the processing of light sweet crude to produce gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, residual fuel, and petrochemicals. I'd like to put some emphasis on the light sweet crude. This is a type of crude oil that flows very easily and has a high sulfur content. And we'll touch on that later in the presentation. Also, the project associated with this particular permit has gotten some publicity. Lima News said Husky Energy is considering a revamp of its Lima refinery. Reuters said Husky Energy will proceed with a $300 million project. And actually, the Toledo Blade in their business section had a headline that says, "Hearing set for Lima Refinery." But before we go into the actual project, I kind of want to go through our permitting process. It starts with the receipt of the application. We received the application on May 15th. The receipt of that application was noticed in our weekly review. At that point in time, we did a review and evaluation of that application and actually developed the permit, which we public noticed, and we also did the associated public hearing 30 days ago in the Lima News. So tonight we'll be holding a public hearing. We're looking for input and your comments on the permit. We'll also be entertaining comments in writing, and they can be submitted to us until the close of business next Monday, October 7th. We'll take your comments into consideration, and at that point in time, the director will make a final action, usually the denial or the issuance of an actual final permit. Tonight we're presenting a permit to install. A permit to install is required for the installation or modification of an air contaminant source. This particular draft air permit addresses a proposed project which will increase the flexibility of the Lima Refinery to process what is called a heavy crude. It'll have higher sulfur content and it's much more viscous material. The permit will contain site applicable rules and requirements, both state and federal. It establishes emission limitations and control measures that are required. There is record keeping and reporting in order of tracking compliance. And additionally, there will be emission testing, again, to show compliance with applicable requirements. I want to present the emission increases that are allowed by this permit and the pollutants that are addressed. Carbon monoxide associated with the products of combustion, usually incomplete combustion, 289 tons, just short of 290 tons. Sulfur dioxide associated with the pollutant that generates acid rain, 271 tons. Nitrogen oxide, also a pollutant associated with combustion, and that was at 109 tons. Volatile organic compounds, I guess to characterize that, when you go to the gas pump, what you smell is volatile organic compounds. Particulate matter, soot, dust. We go to particulate matter less than 10 microns in size. This is of importance because it gets beyond your natural defenses, it gets deeper into the lungs. 10 microns, your hair is about 50 microns in size. So you're about 1/5 of it. So we're talking very small particles. We even have a concern for even smaller ones, 2.5 microns in size. Finally, carbon dioxide equivalent. This is associated with greenhouse gases that are involved in climate change. Mostly carbon dioxide, again, a pollutant associated with combustion fuel. And we're going to present that. That's 309,283. Now, one of the interesting challenges that I always have giving this presentation is, what is 289 tons of pollutant? So let me try to, or what is 109 tons of NOx? Let me try to put it into perspective with specificity. If you have a 10-year-old car and you drive about 12,000 miles a year, and that's a small car, it's just under 30 miles per gallon. The amount of, and these are emission increases presented, for NOx, for nitrogen oxide, that's about 12,000 cars. That is equivalent to about 12,000 cars. Carbon monoxide, that would be equivalent to the 289 tons. That would be equivalent to about 3,000 cars. So let's go back to the really large number, the one associated with the greenhouse gases, 390,000 tons. That's about 70,000 of those small cars. So I'm trying to give you a perspective of what type of emissions that we are applying here. The 309,000 is also not your typical county sanitary landfill. Will experience emissions that look about this level with regards to greenhouse gases. So today's project involves changes to process heavy crude. I think I need to go and kind of oversimplify the refinery process. You have crude oil, just a mixture of a lot of things. There's naphtha, there's gasoline, there's residual oil. And I don't want to embarrass the refinery people, but all you do is heat this up in a controlled manner and you separate them out. What happens at this point in time is, in order to process the heavy crude, it's going to take a little more heat input. So part of this involves furnace modification to more or less increase the amount of heat delivered to the process. Changes to sulfur recovery units. As mentioned, heavy crude has a higher sulfur content. In the processing of gasoline, be it light sweet crude or heavy crude, the sulfur is removed. In this particular case, there is more sulfur that needs to be removed. Therefore, this will involve upgrading the sulfur recovery units at the facility and also adding additional sulfur recovery as well. As mentioned, when you're refining, you're just separating out these products through heat, and one of them generated is coke. It's a solid coal-like material. So there's going to, and these heavy crudes will generate more of that material. So we have a new coke pit and additional handling operations to address the increased amount of coke produced. I want to present the federal rules. Refineries are heavily regulated, and that's very understandable. I have presented 10 federal regulations from the federal code, and they will address equipment leaks associated with the piping and plumbing at the facility. There's standards for hazardous air pollutants from the refining process. There's emission limitations as well. There's even requirements for the boilers at the facility. So I just wanted to present this as kind of the federal regulations that apply. But I really wanted to concentrate on prevention of significant deterioration, also PSD. Allen County and the Lima area is in attainment with national ambient air quality standards. These are standards that are designed to be protective of human health and the environment. This federal rule addresses any major project to make sure that the emissions from that will not impact that attainment status in that particular area. This is done mainly through two ways. It makes sure that the best available control technology that is feasible and cost-effective is applied. Additionally, the emissions that we saw back, the hundreds of tons that is presented, is modeled through computer simulation to make sure that it won't have an impact on that attainment status and that this area maintains air quality that is protective of human health and the environment. I wanted to go through some of the actual best available control technology that is required by this permit. Use of ultra-low NOx burners. So we're talking about combustion pollutants. We're going to use burners that won't generate as much NOx. Good combustion practices for carbon monoxide. Again, we're talking about combustion. We'd like to see complete combustion, and we'll do that through emission limitations that have the amount of carbon monoxide associated with fuel usage restricted. Management of refinery fuel gas for sulfur dioxide. The refinery generates some of its own fuel that it uses in its process. And as we said, that fuel has sulfur in it. And so there are restrictions on the amount of sulfur that can be in that fuel that they actually burn. Sulfur recovery, tail gas treatment, and incineration, again, for sulfur dioxide. The refining process wants to take sulfur out of the fuel. Once it is taken out of the fuel, this particular requirement says you will treat that further for the resulting emission. Once you've got it out of your gas, that's the way that you want to sell that particular fuel, that you manage the emissions from that through what's called tail gas treatment. You are removing additional sulfur at that point in time. Finally, use of low carbon gaseous fuel for carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases. We are looking at the use of clean fuels used in an efficient manner. That way, we reduce the amount and the amount of pollutant, mainly carbon dioxide, that is emitted and associated with greenhouse gas climate change in the climate change area. So that's a brief presentation of the permit that we are presenting to tonight. What are the next steps? We'll consider all comments presented here or presented in writing. If you do not elect to provide comment tonight, you can send us to our office, and the comment period ends Monday, October 7th. we'll take into consideration all of your comments. We'll make a recommendation to our director to deny or actually issue a permit. At that point in time, the director will act on our recommendations and either issue a permit or deny. The final actions of the agency are announced. We provide a responsiveness summary where we respond to all the comments submitted in writing and here at our public hearing. And finally, all final decisions, meaning a final permit or a denial, can be appealed to the Environmental Review and Appeal Commission. So that kind of concludes, oh, I'm sorry. If you want to submit comments, but in writing, send them to Jeff Skiba at this contact information. And again, those can be submitted through the close of business next Monday. If you should have a question after you leave this hearing that you'd like answered, I probably recommend that you contact Jeff, either by phone or you can contact it by email as well. If you should have a question that really doesn't pertain to the permitting process or the hearing here, I recommend that you probably best place to start, just contact Darla. Again, her contact information is right there. So I'd like to thank you, and I guess at this point in time, entertain questions.
And Dina can pick up the blue cards if you'll raise them as well. Does anyone have questions? Okay. Sounds like you did a great job. Thank you. So we'll move into the hearing portion of this evening's meeting. I need to read a speech into the record, so please bear with me. I should know it by heart by now, but I don't. So thank you very much for bearing with me with this. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept comments on the official record regarding a proposed draft air permit modification for the Lima Refining Company's facility on Metcalf Street. If approved, the permit would allow the company to install or modify equipment so it would have the flexibility to process various forms of crude oil. The permit limits emissions to levels that are protective of air quality and public health. Ohio EPA published a public notice to announce the hearing and public comment period regarding the draft permit modification in newspapers in the area. This notice was issued in Ohio EPA's Weekly Review, which is a publication that lists by county all agency activities and actions taking place in the state of Ohio. Written and oral comments received as a part of the official record are reviewed by Ohio EPA prior to a final action of the director. To be included in the official record, written comments must be received by Ohio EPA by the close of business on October 7, 2013. Comments received after this date may be considered as time and circumstances permit, but will not be a part of the official record for this hearing. Written comments can be filed with us today or submitted to Jeff Skiba, Division of Air Pollution Control, Ohio EPA Northwest District Office, 347 North Dunbridge Road, Bowling Green, Ohio 43402, or emailed to Jeff at jeff.skiba@epa.ohio.gov. This information can be found in the agenda and in the presentation handout. It's important for you to know that all comments, whether written or spoken, are given the same consideration. I ask that any exhibits referred to in your testimony, whether written or spoken, are turned in this evening as a part of the official record. Questions and comments made during the hearing will be responded to in a document known as a response to comments. The director, after taking into consideration the recommendations of program staff and comments presented by you, the public, may issue or deny the permit modification. Once a decision is made by the director, the final decision and information about how to access the response to comments will be sent to the applicant, all persons who have submitted comments or presented testimony at tonight's hearing, and all persons who have signed in this evening. If you have additional questions that were not responded to or that have occurred to you since the presentation, please ask them on the record during the hearing, and the agency will address them in writing within the response to comments. As Jan said, final actions of the director are appealable to the Environmental Review Appeals Commission, also known as ERAC. The board is separate from Ohio EPA and reviews cases in accordance with Ohio's environmental laws and rules. Any ERAC decision is appealable to the Franklin County Court of Appeals. Any order of the Court of Appeals is appealable to the Supreme Court of Ohio. Given the number of individuals who want to provide testimony, each individual may testify only once and may speak for 5 minutes. So I ask that you use your time wisely. As mentioned, Ohio EPA cannot interact with you, the speakers, during the testimony other than to ask clarifying questions to ensure that the record is as accurate as possible. As I call on you, please step forward to this microphone at the lectern, state your name and spell it for the record. We do not need your address, and then proceed with your testimony. The first person to provide testimony will be Mayor Dave Berger.
I assume you want to be addressed.
She's the most important person. She has to get every detail so they can review it.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. There's a number of points I'd like to make, and want to begin with the fact that from late 1996 through the spring of 1998, oh, by the way, I'm Dave Berger, and you wanted
The spelling of your last name?
Berger.
Thank you.
From late 1996 through the spring of 1998, the Lima Refinery was threatened with shutdown and demolition by its former owner, British Petroleum. This shutdown was narrowly averted by the combined and vigorous efforts of a superior workforce and community stakeholders who succeeded in marketing the facility to another oil company for purchase and continued operations. Over the next several years, the ownership of the facility changed hands multiple times, until at last the refinery was purchased in 2007 by Husky Energy, who promised significant investments and upgrades. Over the past 6 years, Husky has invested roughly $150 million per year, with total investments now in excess of $900 million, beyond their original purchase price. These investments have significantly improved the safety, reliability, and environmental performance of the refinery. This level of investment is unprecedented and needs to be underscored as a set of actions entirely in line with the company's statement of intentions at the time of their purchase of the Lima Refinery. Husky Energy's plans to now further invest an additional $300 million must be seen in the context of their prior years of investment. The company is financially capable of these projects and is committed to following through on a strategic plan that will allow them, as a vertically integrated refiner, to continue to produce competitively priced fuel products for Ohio and the Midwest. Regarding their environmental track record, prior to Husky's ownership, the Lima Refinery was permitted in 2005 to emit 3,200 tons per year. Upon their purchase and their investments in the Lima Refinery over the past 6 years, these emissions have now been reduced by 73%. With that as background, I heartily support the plans by Husky Energy to further invest in their Lima Refinery. Their crude oil flexibility plans will allow the refinery to bring in heavy sour crudes along with lighter crudes as market conditions dictate, and thereby reduce costs of their raw materials. On the output side, the intended process technology will allow them to respond to market demands for varying products over time and thus optimize their sales. From an environmental perspective, these flexibility projects will result in some additional emissions, but no more than 10% of what had previously been permitted for emissions in 2005. I urge Ohio EPA's issuance of the requested air permit by Husky Energy, and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Berger. Next up is Mike Nisley.
Mike Nisley, K-N-I-S-L-E-Y. I'm president of the Lima Building Trades Council, representing over 2,500 skilled trade union construction workers in the 13 specialized crafts that work around the greater Lima community. The members of the Lima Building Trades not only live in the area, but have worked for over 100 years with numerous owners, including Husky, hand in hand to build and maintain this refinery. They know firsthand the commitment to community safety that Husky and their employees demonstrate on a daily basis. whether it be the continued pledge to lowering emissions or the daily promise to make sure everybody goes home in one piece, as exemplified by the numerous and prestigious Ziza Safety Awards given by the National Maintenance Agreement Policy Committee, acknowledging the true partnership between Husky and the skilled trades. While tonight's hearing focuses on the environmental side, I would be remiss not to point out the positive economic aspects of this project for our community. The approval of this permit for the crude oil flexibility project, also known as COFT, will net an enormous economic investment that can be measured in the short term with the millions of dollars in wages, benefits, and continued apprenticeship training from the construction side, but also in longer terms with worker stability, not only for the present employees of Husky, but also the hundreds of contractors, vendors, and others who do business with them. Given the positive track record of process safety procedures, EPA compliance, and the constant commitment to safety to this community, the Lima Building Trades Council believes with steadfast support that this permit should be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nisley. Next is Roy Warnock.
Thank you. R-O-Y, W-A-R-N-O-C-K. My name is Roy Warnock, Vice President, Husky U.S. Refining and General Manager of the Lima Refinery. Thank you for this opportunity to share a few words about the proposed crude oil flexibility project being considered for our facility. As has been mentioned, Husky has invested an average of $150 million a year in infrastructure and improvements, including many environmental projects, since purchasing the refinery in mid-2007. Recent examples of this commitment include our new central control facility, which is very visible from Metcalf Street, which enhances the safety of our operations by consolidating the control of all of our process units into one location. A second example is our recently commissioned kerosene hydrotreater, which produces high-quality jet and on-road diesel fuel. All capital projects incorporate leading technologies to ensure that the safety of our employees and contractors and the protection of the environment are top priorities. We are committed to providing for the long-term viability of the refinery in the Lima community, and we believe that the crude oil flexibility project supports this objective. The Lima refinery is currently designed to process up to 160,000 barrels per day of light sweet crude with the product slate including gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. We are a significant player in the Lima area and in the U.S. Midwest. We provide about 25% of the gasoline that is consumed in Ohio. The crude oil flexibility project that we are considering would equip the refinery to run up to 40,000 barrels per day of heavier sour crudes, so approximately a quarter of our production. This enhanced flexibility positions the refinery to respond more quickly and efficiently to the market and to take advantage of the full slate of crudes that are available on existing pipeline infrastructure. Husky has approved an initial $50 million investment for front-end engineering and further evaluation of this project. If fully approved, the crude oil flexibility project could result in an investment in the range of $300 million in the refinery. The new facilities would become operational in 2017. Husky is very proud to be a committed corporate citizen in the Lima community. We are very proactive in our efforts to ensure the health and safety of our employees and our neighbors, and we work diligently to be good stewards of the environment. The crude oil flexibility project will incorporate leading technologies to ensure that processing equipment has a very high reliability, again protects the safety of our employees and contractors, and minimizes the environmental emissions in order to meet or exceed all applicable laws and regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warnock. Next is Jed Metzger.
Hello. Jed Metzger, J-E-D, and then M-E-T-Z-G-E-R, President and CEO of the Lima Allen County Chamber of Commerce. Again, thank you for allowing me to testify. On behalf of the Chamber, which we represent about 900 businesses in this Lima Allen County area, our mission is to grow, represent, and enhance business growth and success of our members. And this is one of the areas when looking at the draft permit to install and having really witnessed Husky's focus on safety of its employees and the community throughout the years. The Chamber is very supportive of the Lima Refinery's investments. An instrumental of investment of this caliber will allow the refinery the flexibility to process crude oil with high sulfur and acid contents, leading to more long-term stability, which actually leads to jobs, long-term stability and jobs for our community, which adds to economic impact for this, not only this area, Lima Allen County, but the whole entire region. Utilizing the best and safest technologies that are available, Husky will enhance the emission controls and minimize the impact on the environment. The Lima Refinery has been a cornerstone and industrial leader in the Lima Allen County community for over 125 years. They have been a valuable corporate citizen and have contributed numerous times to the improvements of the community and economic development throughout this community and the region. Please accept this letter as support for the Husky Lima Refinery capital investment.
Thank you, Mr. Metzger. Next is David Belton.
Yeah, my name is David Belton, last name B-E-L-T-O-N. I'm representing the Shawnee Township Board of Trustees, and we appreciate the ability to present our information to you. The refinery is part of our community, Shawnee Township, and has been for over those 125 years. With that, it provides us economical stability within the township. They've been a very good corporate neighbor. Our letter submitted is the Shawnee Township trustees appreciate this opportunity to support Husky Energy's long-term plan. This facility has been a good neighbor to our township and to the community. The 400 jobs that Husky Energy provides to our community are highly skilled jobs and offer stability for those fortunate enough to be employed there. We appreciate Husky's commitment to our region and look forward to supporting their efforts to be one of the top refining facilities in the world. Sincerely, Shawnee Township Board of Trustees, Russ Hawley, Dave Belton, Chris Settlemeyer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belton. Next is, actually have the name Nell Lester next, and I'm thinking that's not you. I have no control over how they're presented to me. Gotcha. Ms. Lester, if you'll state and spell your name.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Nell Lester, L-E-S-T-E-R. And on behalf of Lima Allen County Neighborhoods in Partnership, LACNIP, we support Husky Lima Refinery in their efforts to improve their company. We believe it will continue to make our community safe, a safe environment for our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Ms. Lester. Jeff Sprague? You just didn't look like a now.
Just trying to be efficient here. Jeff Sprague, S-P-R-A-G-U-E. Thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment regarding the area permit Husky Lima Refinery is requesting for the crude oil flexibility project. The Allen Economic Development Group is the lead economic development organization for Allen County. We've worked closely with Husky and their local management team on their various capital investment, job retention, job creation initiatives since they purchased the facility. Husky has always stressed that the well-being of their employees and have a place of importance on employee community and safety. The company has partnered with our local community college and career centers to develop and expand job training programs to ensure that the skill level of their existing staff and the recruitment of their future employees match the requirements that they have at the plant. Husky's investment in our community through civic and cultural organizations have expanded opportunities to individuals and groups who, without Husky's investment, would not have had opportunities that they have today. Their dedication to the health and welfare of our community is well recognized within our community. I hereby support Husky's request for the proposed permit and encourage the Ohio EPA to grant the permit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks. The next person up is Jay Begg.
It's Jay Begg, B-E-G-G, and I'm here on behalf of the Allen County Commissioners. and I'm a lifelong resident of Allen County. I'm here to endorse Husky Lima Refinery and its application for this permit. As the Lima Refinery plays a critical role in our community, and their campus provides some of the best jobs and employment for our county. They've made major investments in infrastructure since bringing ownership of the refinery, and their planned project will bring additional contract work to our community. They're committed corporate citizens. They play an active role in the community and often beyond the refinery's boundaries. Also, the employees of the refinery are very committed to our community, as most of them live in Allen County. Beyond the economics, I've got personal knowledge of some of the things they've done. I'm the past Ottawa River Coalition chairman, and while that's water and we're talking about an air permit, I can tell you that the Lima Refinery is one of the best partners for that Ottawa River Coalition, and it's made a huge difference in the health of our river, and I think it speaks volumes of their commitment to our environment here in Allen County. They've been great corporate citizens, their employees, and are exemplary examples of what it takes to live in this community. So please give support for their permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Begg. Mr. Beggs was the last card turned in. Does anybody else wish to provide testimony? As I always say, my son-in-law is an auctioneer, so I always say going once, going twice. Sometimes somebody raises their hands. All right. Seeing there are no further requests to present testimony, I'll remind you that written comments will be accepted through the close of business Monday, October 7th, 2013. Can be sent to the address found in this evening's agenda and presentation handout for Jeff Skiba. Thank you very much for participating in this evening's meeting. The time is now 7:08, and this hearing is adjourned. Thank you for participating.